In this program exercise, what we're going to do is use some functions in conjunction with each other. For example, so the first exercise is use the rand function, construct a 5 by 20 matrix A and a 5 by 10 matrix B with setting the seed with the command srand1234. Let's do that first off. The point about srand is that you would actually get the same output as I do when I run these functions, so you should be getting the same answers I do. So srand1234, okay, and A equals rand 5 and 20, 5 rows, 20 columns. The point of that is that you should be getting the same random numbers that I get, okay. So it's not really random in that sense. So likewise do the same for B. B equals rand 5 and 10, okay. Now if you make a mistake, what I'd suggest you do is just start from scratch, srand, and start from there. So in this one you should be getting 0.291 and 0.612 in the top left hand corner. So the next part of the presentation asks us to find the sum of A and B, and the point of this really is just to sort of make sure that we all have the same answers. So the sum of A, 45.167, sum of B is 24.829. okay, so moving on from that, multiply A and B such that the result is a 20 by 10 matrix. Okay, now I'm going to call this matrix C. Now I'm actually going to we're mindful of the dimensions actually, but I'm going to do it a very brute force way this time first off. So A star B doesn't work, B star A doesn't work, B star A transpose doesn't work. Let's go for this here. Okay, 10 by 20. Okay, so you have 10 rows and 20 columns. Let's save that. Let's save that there as C. Okay, so the size of C is 10 rows and 20 columns. Is that what we're looking for? Let's just go back to our thing there, our slides there. 20 by 10 is what we're looking for. This is 10 by 20. What do? Just get the transpose of it, okay, and there we have it there, 20 by 10. That's what we're supposed to have, okay. Now sum of C there, 222.23. okay, so we're looking good. Now the next part is to what is it? Replace each element of C with the corresponding sigmoid value. Now, I have the sigmoid here done up at the top. That's how we would implement the sigmoid function there. It's a mathematical function that gets used from time to time in data sciences and logistic regression and stuff like that. Let's actually have a quick look at how it would be written mathematically. So just go back to the previous presentation. That's it there. 1 divided by 1 plus the exponential of minus z. Okay. And it works for arrays. It works for matrices. Okay, so it's gone too far there. So let's just replace C with the sigmoid of C. Okay, and let's just double check that we have 148.66. That's just to sort of check that we've done the operation correctly. Only run the sigmoid operation once. If not, just compute C from the matrices A and B and start from there. Okay, so what we are going to do now is for the matrix C, construct a matrix of the row maxima and the a matrix of the location of the row maxima. Okay, and we're going to compute the sum of D and E. Alright, now so my plan here, first off actually let's look at the functions that we could use here. So we have maximum, and that returns the maximum of a set of values, ind max, and that returns the location, and find max. Okay, now find max returns both the location and the value. or the value and the location. So let's look at the top row of C here. So let's get the maximum of the top row of C first off. By the way, actually in Julia it's maximum. Oops. So that's the maximum value of C, but what is the maximum of the top row? 0.88704 and so on. And where is this maximum? So int max, it's the second value. So let's just look at C, the top row of C here. That one there, that's the maximum of the top row. Now the idea is from row to row, pick out the maximum and the location of maximum. Save it as D and E respectively. What we're going to do is, actually first off, before I continue, let's look at find max of the top first row of C. So those are the two values there, and we can pick out the maximum and the location of the maximum there. Now it's not particularly useful for the type of operation we're doing right now. Okay, so we're going to use maximum and int max because they're just, for what we're doing right now, they're just a little bit better. So what we're going to do first off is we're going to set up we're actually going to set up D and E together in one fell swoop, and we're going to initialize all the values with zeros. Now there's two things we're looking for. So the first row is going to be D, and the second row is going, or the, sorry, there's 20 values actually, because, and how do we know that? It would it's that there's 20 rows of in matrix C. So there's 20 rows. So we can put in 20 there and 2. 2 is 1 for D, 1 for E. Okay. Now, another way we could do that, sorry, use square brackets there when I should use round brackets. Another way we could have done that is size of C, the first dimension is 20. Okay, so if C turned out to be something like, if you do the exercise and it'll be a little bit longer, like what would happen there is that it wouldn't be 20, it would be something else. So I'm going to just, for the sake of good computing, we're going to use that there instead. Okay. Now, so D and E, size of D and E. Okay, so if you C is a different size, D and E will automatically get updated. So what we're going to do in each case is replace each row of DE with the maximum and then the location of the maximum. So I'm going to set up this thing called add row. Okay, now this is taking things in baby steps. So maximum of C, we'll just do it for the first row first, and then int max of, close the bracket there, and int max of C first row there. Now add row. So essentially that's that should be the first row of DE. Okay, so we're going to update DE with add row each time, or update each row with this add row. So, or replace row would actually probably be a better word. So for loop for I in 1 to 20. We'll just stick with 20. I used size of C there earlier on, but I'll just stick with that there. Okay, sorry. Actually, do you know what I'll do? We'll use the script editor up here. So that's DE. That's another way of setting it up there. That's a sort of simpler way. We're going to use a for loop for I in 1 to 20. And what we're going to do is add this row. So that's what we have there. That's the top row there. Now just notice, and again, I often do this myself or forget to do this. Just make sure that when you're actually writing your for loop that you have the index variable there rather than like 1 or something like that. Now essentially what's going to happen here is, this is what we're going to do. This is the function here. Where for the ith row of DE, It's just going to we're just going to replace it with add row. Okay, the value is in add row. So let's run that there now. Sigmoid is the name. I would like. This was Sigmoid earlier on, so that's why Sigmoid. It's just the name of that script up there, so it's not really something to be worrying about. So let's look at DE here now. There we have it there. Let's, so what we're going to do now is, what's D? DE, the sum of the first column, that's D, the maxima, and all rows. Oops. 16.311, and then the sum of the second column should be 56. Anyway, that ends our presentation. That's all of our work done.